again, and welcome to our weekly look at Tiffin University Dragon football. Hi, everybody. I'm Russ Snyder, voice of the Dragons. To my right, head football coach Brett Ekkens. Coach, welcome back in, and always good to talk after another victory on a Saturday.
Absolutely.
So the Dragons coming into this week after a big road, or home win, over Kentucky Wesleyan, a team who I think gave your team quite a bit of fight. I think more than maybe some of the folks in the stands might have thought you were going to give, but credit Kentucky Wesleyan for coming in and giving you everything that they had to give.
Yeah, they did a great job, and Coach Young had his players ready to roll. We give a lot of respect to every opponent that we play, and they did a great job that day. And for us, it's all about meeting our standard. We didn't feel great about the way that we did that, but kudos to them. They came out and they played really tough.
Well, sometimes you don't have your best effort on Saturday, but you still come away with a win. That's all that matters. Win and move on. So Absolutely. We'll take a look at back how it happened last week. Tyrese Banks door in the first touchdown for the Dragons in the first quarter, a 27-yard run, an 8-play, 49-yard drive. Just under 4 minutes off the clock, and the Dragons, after one quarter, had a 7-0 lead.
Yeah, it was great to see TBD get that touchdown, and the O-line did a great job blocking, and I think Joey Zalewski was another person involved in the blocking on that, and then Tyrese made the last defender miss, and it was great to get on the board early on that first drive.
He runs mean. He sure does run mean. But I notice it from the press box almost every time the young man touches the football. Well, the Dragons put 7 on the board in the first quarter. That score rode until halftime, a 7-6 lead for Tiffin after the first half. And then early on in the start of the second half, we talked earlier in the year about Ronald Blackman breaking some big ones. He broke another one, a 1-play, 60-yard drive, only 9 seconds off the clock. And it seemed like, I don't know what you said to your kids at halftime, but it seemed like they came out a little bit more fired up at the start of the second half.
Yeah, we certainly responded well after halftime, and every game and half we talk about what we need to do to come out in the second half the right way, and we did what we talked about doing. The defense got a big turnover with Isaiah Funchess-Foster taking the ball away, and then the offense went down the field and scored on the first play, and it was exactly what we needed to get the third quarter going.
Turnover into points. Can't do it much quicker than 9 seconds. And Ronald Blackman, congratulations on getting the GMAC Offensive Athlete of the Week again this week. So
yeah, he had a great game, and ultimately had a couple big runs.
And then another running back scores your next touchdown, but in a non-traditional way. Talk about Nick Johnson getting in the end zone.
Yeah, right after the touchdown that we had on offense, defense did a great job, playing sound and backing up Kentucky Wesleyan, and we ended up blocking a punt, which was great. I think that was Braylon Gavis that got his hands on it. But blocked the punt, and Nick was there for the scoop and score. We had a few guys that were there by the punter. Josiah Raber was there, Ryan Knesny was there, and then I think Gavis was the one who got it. But Nick scooped and scored, and those are things that we work on in practice. It was great to see us execute in that scenario.
It's 11 men, and no matter whether it's offense, defense, 11 men doing the right thing to perform as one. And boy, you can't get a point on special teams without everybody doing their job, all 11 on special teams.
Absolutely, it was a big play.
Another special team score in the fourth quarter, this time off the leg of your kicker, Ben Rudolph, a 24-yard field goal after a 5-play, 62-yard drive, only a buck and a half off the clock, and that's Dragons stretch their lead out to 24-6. Kentucky Wesleyan adds one more score for a 24-12 final score. But Ben Rudolph, good to see him putting it through the uprights there in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, it was a windy day, and he missed earlier in the day on a ball that we thought he struck perfectly, and it got blown from all the way right to left. So it was good to put him back out there and allow him to do what he does best, and we were glad that he came away with those 3 points, and we protected it well, and the snap, hold, kick process was good.
Yeah, the special teams, the wind can play havoc, I guess you could say, with special teams. That is for sure. Alex Johnson, your quarterback, didn't have a lot of yards that day, 14 of 29, 90 yards, but he didn't turn the ball over either. So talk a little bit about Alex's day.
Yeah, he managed the game well. We certainly didn't get the amount of yards that we'd like to get, or that we typically would get, but he did manage the plan well, and it was one of those days where we went out and we ran the ball really well. Right. So it was good to see that happen, and we took what they gave us, and at times it's not as many yards as you'd hope for, but he did a good job being patient and not forcing things in there and keeping the ball in our hands.
Well, you're averaging just under 8 yards per rush, 241 yards in a game and 30 carries. Good balance, 30 carries, 29 passes, but boy, when the running game's getting it done like that, why not lean on those guys, those big guys up front a little bit?
For sure, and the O-line had a great day. Our tight ends and receivers are key to our run game as well, and everybody was selfless with their blocks and their energy and enthusiasm.
Yeah, Ronald with 10 carries for 140 yards. We mentioned Tyrese getting the end zone, 5 for 46. Daniel Weems, 9 for 35. And Nick Johnson, 4 for 20 in the game. And then, Kane Mack gets in there and gets to run the ball as well. So every once in a while you bring him in there for a little change of pace and give Alex a blow for a minute.
Yeah, and Kane's a passing threat as well. He's one of our quarterbacks, and he is a big body.
Yeah.
He can put his shoulder down when we call upon him to run.
A lot of receivers caught the ball on Saturday for your Dragons. Ethan Holbrook leads the way with 3 catches for 29 yards. I think my daughter saw him and his family at the restaurant having pizza or something after the game, so they had nice things to say. So a lot of people getting their hands on the football. Not anybody with a whole lot of catches or a big number of yards, but still spreading the ball around quite a bit.
Yeah, we're spreading the ball around like we want to, and it's been something we've done all year. Ethan had a long touchdown run that came back with a penalty that we would have loved to have back, but he's continued to play really well throughout the season.
So the Dragons, we said, run the ball for 235 yards net rushing on the day, total gain of 241. You'll be seeing that, and total offense for the game, 325 yards. A lot of things to talk about in the game, but really one of the things that that when I look at the stats and things like that, I mean, it's hard not to credit Kentucky Wesleyan. You're trying to find big differentials here between the things, but I think Kentucky Wesleyan just gave you one of the best games that they've given this year. I mean, there's not a big separation in the stats. I'm trying to find something different, but there's not a lot of separation. Credit them.
I think the big separation was the run game. We look at we look at what we want to do well. We want to run the ball well every week, and then I think our offensive and defensive lines played outstanding. We held them to no sacks with our offensive line and running backs in protection, and then our defensive line and linebackers combined for 7 sacks. So I think that those are the things that we looked at as we came away from the game. The highlights of the game was the line of scrimmage. We felt like those guys, we called upon those guys to have a big day, and they went out and executed that day.
Third down conversions is a thing both teams probably like to have back every Saturday.
Yeah, that was brutal. So we went back to the drawing board on those, and we've had a great plan all year. We've done a really good job.
It's been great on third downs on both sides of the ball.
So it was our defense. Man, we felt really good about what we did there offensively. They need to step up, and we need to step up with our plan, and we need to step up with our execution.
Well, especially this week as you're going on the road to Northwood, a good football team. But first, Ethan Evers leads you in tackles last week with 9, Devontae Lewis with 5, and a whole bunch of people making plays for you. But Ethan Evers, boy, it seems like he every single week seems to be moving up into the headlines, I guess you could say.
Yeah, he's grown more comfortable every single game this year, and he's had outstanding games where he's the player of the week, and he's really done a great job in coming to his own, and he's playing really good football right now.
This week, the Dragons on the road at Northwood, a team who's in the top 10 in the regional rankings, sitting at 10, come off a tough loss last week. And Northwood, I mean, there was one of those teams, they are battlers. They play tough defense every year. They got big offensive linemen, running backs that run the ball hard. What am I missing about Northwood?
You're not missing much. Coach Buer's done a great job with that team and in his 3 years there, and they're a very good football team. So we're excited. We love playing in games where we're playing against great opponents, and we've been watching them on film. Really, we've been behind them for a couple weeks here, so we've been seeing them while we've scouted other opponents. So we've watched them a lot this year, and this week they've gained our complete focus, as everybody does that we play, and they're a very good football team. So we're excited about the game.
They always have a bunch of linebackers who have a lot of tackles, a lot of good tacklers on that linebacking corps. Same with them this year again?
Yeah, they've got a great scheme, and they've got good players that'll trigger, and they're really good tacklers. So those are things that remain true. Again, they've done that staff's done an outstanding job since they've gotten there, and they definitely have our respect.
It's an interesting campus to go to as well. You almost feel like you're pulling into a state park when you go up to Midland. It's a beautiful little area, and it's a fun place to go play. And the running game, the way it was for you last week, sometimes you get late in the season, some of that running game, boy, that can sure be a helpful thing for you on the offensive side of the football, especially when you're going on the road.
Yeah, I think the line of scrimmage, just in general, both teams are going to try to win the line of scrimmage, and we know we need to do that this week.
Right. Dragons on the road at Northwood this week, a team that's, only a couple losses on the year, fell to Findlay last week in a really big game, one of the bigger games in the conference this year. Lots of big games going on this week, and only a couple weeks left on the GMAC schedule, so it's going to be pretty interesting to see how it plays out. And it just popped on my mind, so we better say it so we don't forget. congratulations to Rudy Brownell and the men's soccer team on winning the GMAC regular season championship.
Yeah, they've been great. His office is right down the hall, and they prepare the right way. They go out and they've been phenomenal. So I got to see those guys after the game when we were on our way out to practice, and congratulated them on that. They deserve a lot of credit. So they've continued to be competitive year in and year out. I know they're getting ready for the tournament play.
Right.
The season's not over for them.
No.
That's for sure.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I got that in. If I didn't, Rudy would have probably said something to me, so I want to make sure that we congratulated those guys. But, you mentioned the line of scrimmage as well. Offensive line, defensive line. How are we feeling right now health-wise? Everybody feeling pretty good?
Yeah, we're feeling great on the line of scrimmage, and, guys that really stepped up. Chris Walton had a great week last week. He had 2 sacks. That was really good to see. But our defensive tackles have been playing really well. Radical had a sack. Radical Rothermel. Kevin Hornbeek had a sack. That was great to see. Gio Albanese did a great job creating a bunch of pressure, as did Jaquel Brown. So those guys deserve some credit. Chris Walton and Uzo have been doing a great job all year on our edges, and Chris Artis being back has been a big plus. Clarence Gossett plays really hard, and those guys, I want to make sure I talk through that group, because our D line's been really consistent the whole year. Offensive line wise, we've been able to really develop some great depth and be able to rotate guys as we see fit, and that's been outstanding for us to keep guys fresh and really build trust in our offense.
Your defensive line, you mentioned it. The way you have your rotation set up, it's been great to see how being able to keep the guys fresh on the defensive front. But it really has paid dividends for you. Especially those guys. You mentioned the tackles up front, and the big guys getting it done, letting those guys on the outside use their speed, get around is pretty cool to see. And your offensive line, you do some substituting in with some depth, but you've been pretty consistent with what you've been able to put out there each and every week, and that's huge.
Yeah, it's not been because of injury. It's been our ability to keep the guys fresh, and it's really about guys that we brought in to play football for us, earning the opportunity to go out and win the game. Right? So it's been really good to see, and there's been some great consistency from those guys.
You mentioned consistency. You've been getting consistency out of your special teams as well, in the return game, but the punts and the field goals. So talk a little bit about that as well. Your long snapper, your holder, been there for you all year long. That's been really, really fun and neat and everything. So talk a little bit about your consistency you found in your special teams units.
Yeah, Joseph Weir's almost had a career day on Saturday. There's one that he'd want back, but he didn't hit quite right. And that ruined his net for the day, unfortunately. But he's done a great job. Jake Jacoby's held it down for us as a long snapper. Yep. But I think Joseph had 4 inside the 20, 4 punts inside the 20, which is outstanding for the day.
He's been so good all year long.
Yeah, he's been great. We talked about Ben Rudolph already, and Anthony Turnage has done a good job on our kickoff. So Grant Woodfin's held for us and done a really good job there and supplemented some.
Great to see him be able to come back from the injury he had too. I mean, that's a tough one to come back from.
So it's been good. Those guys, they go out, and we talk about them a lot. They go out there and they put in work the entire practice. They're not standing on the side and they're out. We've got purposeful things that they're doing, and they're working on their tasks and their job, and ultimately it's paid off. They're really accurate with where we want the ball to be placed, and they work really hard. So they do deserve a lot of credit.
They're football players. They're not just kickers. They're football players.
They are.
That's for sure. So as I said, 2 games left. Dragons on the road at Northwood this week. Lots of good big games all around the country. We'll have the radio broadcast for you at tudragonradio.com and the TU Dragon Football Radio Network. Northwood will take care of the video streaming. And so, Coach, I mention all the time, give me some keys for you kids to go up there and win. I know line of scrimmage, you're going to say offensive, defensive line, got to control the line of scrimmage, got to be able to run the ball, control the turnover game, win that game. Tell me a couple other things here.
Yeah,
Key to victory.
I think November football is all about it's all about toughness. It's all about your ability to. It's not just on that day. It's your ability to go out and practice well, prepare well, be disciplined. Toughness isn't a one momentary act. Right. It's something that you can sustain. Can you sustain the same level of urgency throughout the season? And we've prepared really well. And we know that November and December football ultimately, as the season comes, comes to the tail end, we've got to go out. We've got to play really good football. So the whole team is involved in that. I've talked about the line of scrimmage being important. The weather's changed about 10 times since I've started checking it. So we're prepared to go up there and play in whatever elements there are. And I know they'll be prepared too. So we're excited to go up there and play a great game, and we're going to have tons of energy, enthusiasm. The guys are going to be unified and playing complementary football. It's the same things that we talk about each week,
right.
But we can't wait to get up to Midland and get after it.
Well, it's the fourth quarter of the season. Right now.
It's
the fourth quarter of the season, and the work you put in to be able to win on Saturdays in the fourth quarter and also be productive at the end of the season in the fourth quarter, it all starts in August, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Your ability to maintain and sustain those habits that you set in camp are really important.
All right, Coach, this Saturday, the Dragons on the road at Northwood up in Midland, Michigan. Should be a whole lot of fun. Only a couple games left, so make sure you tune in. If you can't catch the video again, you can catch the radio broadcast on the TU Dragon Football Radio Network, WTTF, the home station, as well as WTUD, TUDragonRadio.com. And then next week, Coach, we're going to talk about the last game of the regular season and maybe even take you down to the Gilmore Student Center in the cafe and do a little something in front of the students for the first time down there. That sounds like a little bit of fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, but we're keeping our focus completely on Saturday for this week.
He reels me in every time. I start looking big picture, he reels me back into this Saturday. It's the way it works. That's your job. That's my job.
Gotta stay tunnel vision.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, thank you so much for your time. Let's go get another W this week, and we'll come back next week and talk about it.
Sounds good. Thanks, Russ.
All right, he's Brent Ekkens. I'm Russ Snyder. This has been our weekly look at Tiffin University football.